Listen up, because what I'm about to tell you could be the difference between retiring rich and working until you're 75 years old, wondering where the hell your life went. We're going to talk about Palantir Technologies. And if you don't know what Palantir is, you're about to get the education of a lifetime. This isn't just another tech stock. This isn't just another company that's going to have a nice quarter and then fade into obscurity. Palantir is the kind of once-in-a-generation opportunity that separates the wealthy from the wannabes, the investors from the spectators, the people who take action from the people who sit around talking about what they should have done. I'm going to be brutally honest with you right now, and honesty is something you don't get enough of in this world of financial advice where everyone's trying to sell you something or protect their own ass. Palantir Technologies, ticker symbol PLTR, is one of the most misunderstood, underestimated, and potentially explosive investment opportunities in the market right now. And the reason most people don't get it, the reason most retail investors are sleeping on this absolute monster of a company, is because they don't understand what Palantir actually does. They hear data analytics and their eyes glaze over. They hear government contracts and they think it's boring. They couldn't be more wrong if they tried. Let me paint you a picture of what Palantir actually is, because once you understand this, once you really grasp the magnitude of what this company has built, you're going to want to pay very close attention to every word I say. Palantir was founded in 2003 by Peter Thiel. Yes, that Peter Thiel, the guy who was the first outside investor in Facebook, the guy who built PayPal, one of the most brilliant minds in Silicon Valley. And Thiel didn't start Palantir to build another social media app or another e-commerce platform. He started it to solve the hardest problems in the world using data. We're talking about helping intelligence agencies track down terrorists. We're talking about helping the military coordinate complex operations. We're talking about helping corporations optimize billions of dollars in operations. This is serious, world-changing stuff. Now here's where it gets interesting. And this is where you need to really tune in, because this is the meat of the opportunity. Palantir has two main platforms, Gotham and Foundry. Gotham is primarily used by government agencies, defense departments, intelligence services. This is the platform that allegedly helped find Osama bin Laden. This is the platform that's being used to coordinate some of the most sensitive and important operations in national security. And before you start thinking, okay, so it's just a government contractor, hold on, because that's only half the story. And frankly, it's not even the most exciting half anymore. Foundry is where things get absolutely insane from an investment perspective. Foundry is Palantir's commercial platform, and it's being adopted by some of the biggest corporations in the world. We're talking about companies in manufacturing, healthcare, energy, finance, every major industry you can think of. And what Foundry does is take all of an organization's data, all those siloed databases and spreadsheets and systems that don't talk to each other, and it unifies them into a single operating system that allows companies to make decisions in real time based on actual data instead of gut feelings and outdated reports. Do you understand how revolutionary that is? Do you understand how much money companies will pay for that capability? Let me give you a real-world example, because I know some of you are still not getting the magnitude of this. Imagine you're running a massive manufacturing operation with facilities all over the world. You've got supply chain issues, you've got production bottlenecks, you've got quality control problems, and all of this information is scattered across dozens of different systems. Your team is spending weeks trying to compile reports just to figure out what's going wrong, and by the time they figure it out, the problem has gotten worse or new problems have emerged. Now imagine having a platform where you can see everything in real time, where you can simulate different scenarios, where AI can actually suggest solutions based on all your historical data and current conditions. That's Foundry. That's what Palantir sells. And once companies start using it, once they see the value it creates They don't just keep using it, they expand it to every department, every division, every operation they have. And here's the kicker. Here's the part that gets me really excited about this as an investment. Palantir's business model is absolutely beautiful. They don't just sell you software and walk away. They embed their engineers with your team. They become part of your organization. They customize the platform for your specific needs. And because of that deep integration, because of how mission critical Palantir becomes to their clients' operations, the switching costs are massive. Once you're running your business on Palantir, once you've integrated it into your core operations, you're not going anywhere. You're locked in, baby. And that means recurring revenue, that means expansion revenue, that means a business model that prints money once it reaches scale. Now let's talk about the numbers, because at the end of the day, this is about making money. And if the numbers don't work, nothing else matters. Palantir has been growing its commercial revenue at over 40% year over year. Read that again, 40% growth in commercial revenue. And this isn't some tiny startup that can grow fast because it's starting from zero. Palantir is doing billions in revenue. The US commercial business is growing even faster at over 50%. They're adding new customers every quarter. Their existing customers are spending more every quarter. This is the kind of growth that makes investors rich. And here's something that most analysts are completely missing. Something that, if you understand it, you're going to be way ahead of the market. Palantir is at an inflection point. For years, the company was primarily known for its government work. The commercial side was growing, but it was still the smaller part of the business. But that's changing rapidly. The commercial business is exploding. And what happens when Wall Street realizes that Palantir isn't just a government contractor, that it's actually a high-growth software company with a massive commercial opportunity? The multiple expands. The stock price goes parabolic. The early investors make fortunes. Let me tell you about something called the Rule of 40 in software companies. It's a metric that venture capitalists and sophisticated investors use to evaluate software businesses. You take your revenue growth rate and add it to your free cash flow margin, and if that number is over 40, you've got a great business. Palantir is blowing past that. They're not just meeting the Rule of 40, they're crushing it. They're growing at over 30% with improving margins. This is the kind of financial performance that gets rewarded with premium valuations. But wait, it gets better. Palantir is now profitable. They're generating free cash flow. For years, the critics said Palantir would never be profitable, that they spent too much on sales and marketing, that the business model didn't work. Well, guess what? They were wrong. Dead wrong. Palantir has proven they can grow and be profitable at the same time. They've proven the model works. And now that they're profitable, now that they're generating cash, a whole new class of institutional investors can buy the stock. Funds that couldn't touch Palantir when it was unprofitable can now load up on shares. Let's talk about the artificial intelligence revolution, because this is where Palantir's story gets even more compelling. Everyone's talking about AI. Every company is trying to figure out how to implement AI. But here's the problem. Most companies have no idea what to do with AI. They've got all this hype about ChatGPT and large language models, but they don't know how to actually use these tools to improve their business. Palantir does. Palantir has been doing AI and machine learning for 20 years. They've got the infrastructure, they've got the expertise, they've got the platforms already built. And now they've launched something called the Artificial Intelligence Platform, or AIP, which allows companies to deploy large language models on their own data in a secure, controlled environment. Do you understand what this means? This means that while every other software company is scrambling to figure out their AI strategy, Palantir already has a product in market that's generating revenue. They've done hundreds of boot camps where they bring in potential customers and show them in a matter of days how they can use AI to solve real business problems. And the conversion rate from these boot camps is insane. Companies see the value immediately. They see how they can use AI to automate processes, to make better decisions, to find opportunities they never knew existed. And they're signing contracts on the spot. Now I want to address the elephant in the room, because I know some of you are thinking, okay, Jordan, this all sounds great, but the stock has already run up. Haven't I missed it? And that's exactly the kind of thinking that keeps people poor. That's the kind of thinking that makes people miss the biggest opportunities of their lives. Yes, Palantir's stock has had a nice run, but we're still in the early innings of this story. The total addressable market for what Palantir does is in the hundreds of billions of dollars. They're barely penetrated into the commercial market. Most companies still don't even know Palantir exists or what it can do for them. We're talking about a company that could be 5 times, 10 times bigger than it is today. Think about this. What if I told you in 2010 that you should invest in Amazon when it was already up significantly from its lows? You would have thought you missed it. But Amazon went up another 20 times from there. What if I told you to invest in Netflix when it was already a successful DVD rental business? You would have thought the opportunity was over. But then streaming happened and Netflix went up 50 times. The point is, when you find a truly revolutionary company with a massive market opportunity, you don't worry about whether you missed the first leg up. You focus on whether the story is still intact, whether the growth is still there, whether the opportunity is still massive. And with Palantir, all of those things are true. Let me talk about the competitive moat for a second, because this is crucial to understanding why Palantir can sustain high growth and high margins. There is no real competitor to Palantir. Sure, there are other data analytics companies. Sure, there are other software vendors, but nobody does what Palantir does at the scale and sophistication that Palantir does it. They've spent 2 decades building their platforms, perfecting their technology, training their engineers. You can't just spin up a Palantir competitor in a few years. The barriers to entry are enormous. And the more customers Palantir gets, the more data flows through their platforms, the smarter their AI becomes, the stronger their moat gets. This is a network effect business hiding inside an enterprise software company. And let's talk about the government business for a minute, because people make a mistake when they think the government side is mature or tapped out. It's not. Government spending on Palantir is increasing. They're winning bigger contracts. They're expanding into new agencies and departments. The geopolitical situation in the world right now, with tensions rising, with the focus on national security, with the need for better intelligence and coordination, all of that benefits Palantir. Governments need what Palantir sells, and they need more of it, not less. Here's another angle that most investors aren't thinking about. Palantir's relationship with the US government and the Department of Defense gives them a massive credibility advantage in the commercial market. When you're selling to a Fortune 500 CEO and you can say we're trusted by the US military and intelligence agencies with their most sensitive operations, that opens doors. That builds trust. That overcomes objections. Companies know that if Palantir is good enough for national security, it's good enough for their supply chain or their financial operations. Now let's talk about risk, because I'm not here to blow smoke up your ass and tell you this is a sure thing. There are no sure things in investing. Palantir stock is volatile. It can swing wildly based on market sentiment, based on earnings reports, based on what some analyst says. If you can't handle volatility, if you're going to panic sell every time the stock drops 10 or 15%, then maybe this isn't for you. But if you understand that volatility is the price you pay for extraordinary returns, if you can stomach the swings and stay focused on the long-term story, then Palantir could be one of the best investments you ever make. The valuation is another thing people worry about. Palantir trades at a premium to most software companies. And you know what? It should, because it's growing faster than most software companies, because it's more profitable than it was, because it's got a better business model than most software companies. But yes, if there's a market crash, if there's a recession, growth stocks like Palantir will get hit. That's just how it works. The question you have to ask yourself is, do you believe in the long-term story? Do you believe that data and AI are going to be increasingly important to every organization in the world? Do you believe that Palantir has built something unique and valuable that companies will pay for? If the answer is yes, then temporary price volatility is just noise. Here's my take on how to play this, and this is not financial advice, but this is what makes sense to me. Palantir is a core long-term holding. This is not a stock you day trade. This is not a stock you try to time perfectly. You build a position and you hold it. You add to it on weakness if you have conviction. You let the compound growth do its work. Because if Palantir executes on even half of its potential, if the commercial business continues growing at this pace, if the government business remains strong, if AIP drives the AI adoption they think it will, this stock could be worth multiples of what it is today in 5 years. And think about the macro environment for a second. We're in a world where data is becoming the most valuable asset. We're in a world where AI is going to transform every industry. We're in a world where companies that can't make data-driven decisions are going to get destroyed by competitors who can. Palantir is positioned right at the intersection of all these massive trends. They're not hoping to catch a wave. They're already riding it. They built the surfboard 20 years ago, and now the biggest wave in history is coming. Let me tell you about Peter Thiel and Alex Karp, the CEO, for a minute. These guys are not your typical Silicon Valley founders worried about their next funding round or their next exit. Thiel is a billionaire many times over. Karp has been CEO since the beginning, and he's not going anywhere. These guys think in decades, not quarters. They built Palantir to be a 100-year company. They're playing the long game. And when you invest in Palantir, you're betting on that vision. You're betting on that leadership. You're betting on a team that has already proven they can build something extraordinary. The partnerships Palantir is forming are another signal that something big is happening. They're working with Microsoft, with Amazon Web Services, with all the major cloud providers. They're integrating with the tools that companies already use. They're making it easier for customers to adopt Palantir without ripping out their entire tech stack. This is smart. This is strategic. This is how you scale a business. Here's the bottom line. And this is what you need to walk away understanding. Palantir Technologies is not just another tech stock. It's a company that's solving real problems for the most important organizations in the world. It's a company with accelerating growth, improving profitability, and a massive market opportunity ahead of it. It's a company led by visionary founders who think long-term. It's a company with a competitive moat that's getting stronger, not weaker. And it's a company that's positioned perfectly for the AI revolution that's just beginning. So the question you have to ask yourself is this: are you going to sit on the sidelines and watch while early investors in Palantir potentially make fortunes? Are you going to be the person who says, 5 years from now, I knew about Palantir when it was at this price, I should have bought it? Or are you going to do your research, understand the business, develop conviction, and take action? Because let me tell you something, in investing and in life, nothing happens without action. You can have all the knowledge in the world, but if you don't pull the trigger, if you don't make the move, you don't get the rewards. The wealthy don't wait for perfect conditions. They recognize opportunities and they act. They understand that the biggest risk is not taking enough risk. So do your homework on Palantir, read their earnings calls, understand their products, watch what their customers are saying, and then make a decision. But whatever you do, don't let fear or indecision cost you the opportunity of a lifetime, because opportunities like this don't come around every day. Now get out there and make it happen.